Men prefer debt-free virgins without tattoos.
What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Paul.
I'm Morgan.
And this is the Paul and Morgan, the Paulandmorganshow Show. Guys, if you're new here, we are making Christian advice videos on life, love, and dating to help you have hope
And be free.
So subscribe. There was an article that came out recently, and it's gone semi-viral. It's a blog post, actually, called
Men prefer debt-free virgins without tattoos.
So yeah, the article, just by the title, you can see it has stirred up quite the controversy, even among the Christians.
Yep.
Now, Morgan and I don't jump into stuff like this lightly. We really don't. But I told Morgan earlier, I was like, I think we should do a response video on it. It's been requested by the P&M Fam that we do a response video. There's been a number of other response videos, some by non-believers, some by Christians. And like I said, it's been getting a lot of backlash, so we wanted to share our thoughts on it.
Ta-da-da!
Morgan, I think the way we should do this is we'll just read a chunk of the actual blog post,
Okay.
and then we'll share our thoughts. Tell us who wrote the article, and then just dive right in.
Okay, Lori Alexander is the author and owner of the Transformed Wife blog. The very first sentence is, do you know how much more attractive debt-free virgins without tattoos are to young men? Unfortunately, there are so few of these types of young women anymore because of the high cost of college debt and sexual promiscuity even within those in the church. As believers in Jesus Christ, we need to live in a way that is pleasing to Him because His ways are the best. He calls debt a burden and urges us to live lives of sexual purity.
Real quick, we want you to realize that we realize that this is a topic that's close to home for many of you, and it's something that might be sobering or might be difficult for you to read. So we get that. We don't want to
close to home to us, obs.
We don't want to be insensitive. Can we
Yeah.
just get that out there? We're speaking this stuff that's on our heart in love. We're wanting to go to Scripture, God's heart, and get to the bottom of this. All right. Thus far, is there anything that's jumping out at us? Anything that we would disagree with? I would agree that a debt-free woman is nice. Then,
So is a debt-free man.
Absolutely. That goes both ways.
The first sentence doesn't really sit well with me. Do you know how much more attractive debt-free virgins without tattoos are to young men?
Okay, that's true. That was...
I don't think that's true.
Well,
Sorry.
The tattoo thing, I think that is more dependent on personal taste.
Yeah, that's just that's not really fair for her to say all young men would prefer women without tattoos.
I appreciated when I saw Morgan's tattoos, so I think that's a personal thing. It was a little unfair of her to make a blanket statement, even if she was referring just to Christians. I think that's kind of unfair. I think she's kind of just trying to stir up the pot a little bit.
Yeah. There are many reasons why Christian young women should carefully consider whether or not they go to college, especially if they want to be wives and mothers someday. Secular universities teach against the God of the Bible and His ways. It's far from what God calls women to be and do. It teaches them to be independent, loud, sexually available, and immodest instead of having meek and quiet spirits.
All right. Is there wisdom in what she's saying that women should be a little slower to jump on the college bandwagon?
I think, yeah, I agree with that. I think people are in high school and they're just trained, like, you're going to college, you're going to pick this, you need to know what you're going to do with your life, and it's like, take a step back once you get out of high school. Like, let's think for a minute instead of going into a bunch of debt and then getting out and being like, I don't even use my degree for the job that I have, or I'm a stay-at-home mom, I didn't even need to go to college. Like, I just think that people need to think more before they make the decision to go into college.
I think, again, that could go both men and women, but specifically I think there's wisdom, especially for women, and I know we're going to get some backlash for our opinions, but we're okay with that. It's nothing new to us. Especially for women to really think, is this... because what were her specific points for women maybe not going to college?
They teach against God and the Bible.
Okay, there are obviously Christian colleges.
It teaches them to be independent, loud, sexually available, and immodest instead of having meek and quiet spirits. I think that we are called to be independent in a way as a woman of God, like to have our independent relationship with God. Proverbs 31 woman, she is, in my opinion, a very independent woman. Like she gets up before the break of dawn and she works. She is smart. She, knows how to use money. She knows how to make profit off of things. Like, I would say that that's an independent woman. She doesn't need necessarily anyone besides God, but she chooses to follow God's obedience and be a wife and be a mom and take care of her children and her husband. But in my opinion, I feel like you come out of college more selfish and more like focused on yourself, your careers, your wants, your desires, instead of like...
You got a good point there. I do think that that's there could be a little out of balance, because suddenly a woman's 24, 26, 28 years old, she's done all this school. If you feel called to get married, are you training yourself to be a godly wife? We got to realize that colleges, there is a secular agenda, and it's not all good. Like, be aware of that. Bad company corrupts good morals. Who you hang out with is going to affect you. When you go to college for 4 years, for 8 years, and it's a secular school, and your teachers are just more and more of this same stuff that's not biblical, it's going to probably affect you, unless you're taking like big steps to make sure it doesn't.
And I feel like college these days is all about feminism and being your own woman. Women are stepping out of college though with warped minds, with false lies. If they do end up getting married, not knowing how to be a submissive wife, not knowing how to...
At the risk of getting backlash, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why this article has caused so much commotion, even among the Christian community. It's like, Christian girls are reading this like, what is she saying? That is so unfair. That is so untrue. Well, I think that we need to take a step back and see if there actually could be some truth in this article.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's keep going.
All right. One woman wrote to me and gave her opinions on why women shouldn't go to college. I've added my thoughts in parentheses. Men don't want to marry a woman with debt. Most of this debt comes from college. So then this is the actual blog lady's thoughts
on it.
I would agree that most men don't want to marry a woman with a load of debt. That isn't right to bring into a marriage.
Well, Morgan did not have a load of debt coming into marriage, and it was a breath of fresh air. So I'm just putting it out there.
And Paul didn't have debt either, and that was a breath of fresh air. I have heard people say, like, it is a big deal to have a ton of debt and go into marriage. Like, I've heard that my entire life, not from both believers and non-believers. All right, this is the other lady's opinions.
Go.
If they go to college, they are unlikely to stay home raising their children to pay off the debt and use the degree they spent years on. And the owner of the blog says, I have seen this in many young women's lives, sadly. I mean, yeah, that's true. I usually, if a woman goes to college and she then gets pregnant, like, she's still likely to have the child and then go back to work because, first of all, she went to college for so many years, got a fancy degree, and, like, obviously wants to be doing that. So, yeah. That's why there's so many daycares and nannies these days.
Ooh, man, some of this stuff, dude. Woo! Phew. We're gonna stepping on some toes.
Which, let me speak, because I am a nanny, and I have nannied for families who both parents work full-time, and I'm currently working for a family where the dad works full-time and the mom only works 2 days a week. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, I feel like, and I know her, and I've talked to her about this, and she personally has said, like, my job is more or less like my me time. So, like, I'm just able to get out of the house and, like, do my stuff, work, whatever, make a little money, but also just, like, be able to, like, pull myself back together and be a mom again. Like, and I get that. That's totally fine. Like, everyone needs me time.
Appreciate your thoughts, Morgan.
All right, other woman's thoughts. The husband will need to take years teaching his wife the correct way to act, think,
Yikes.
and live, since college taught them every possible way that is wrong. Then the owner of the blog says, sadly, most young Christian women wouldn't listen to their husbands, and since they've not been taught to live in submission to their husbands. However, it's the older women who are called to teach the younger women biblical womanhood, and most husbands have never seen it modeled in their lives, so they wouldn't know what to teach.
Wow, that was some strong words right there.
Yeah.
That was some, man, I totally see why this article has created quite a stir. Man, it's like, do you just get really defensive and say that is total rubbish? Or do you read it and say, and ask God, is there wisdom in this? Mm-hmm. And again, I think that's what we need to be doing more of. Is there wisdom in that statement, even though it came across so harsh?
The Bible says to submit to your husbands whether you think they're doing the right or wrong thing. So, like, there are so many women who are like, well, I'll submit to my husband as long as he's doing what I think is right.
Ooh, man alive!
And you guys, I'm not claiming that I have this down pat. Like, I am still learning. It is a hard thing.
And I'm learning how to be a godly husband that lays down my life for my wife while being the leader. Yeah. It's like, it's a two-way street, guys. But we're talking about women right now. So.
Okay.
Well,
shut up.
I'm sure there's an article out there. Women prefer men who are debt-free and have beards and are muscular. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that article later.
Or big and strong.
They play music, but also are good with math. Like.
Wow.
And make a lot of money. Like.
Okay. It's so rare to see that in marriages, to see a true godly biblical relationship where the woman is submitting to her husband, but the husband is leading her in a Christ-like way, which means that it's easy to submit.
I feel like guys these days are scared to lead because what if my wife doesn't like the direction I'm going? She's going to be up in my face. I better just step back and let her lead. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of dysfunction in marriage.
Guys, we need to step out of the past and the way things have been for so long, and we've got to start living a biblical, holy relationship where the man is in the correct place and the woman is in the correct place. There's nothing wrong with those things. God wants us to have a beautiful marriage.
Can we trust God enough to go ahead and go under his authority, even when we feel like, oh man, that seems pretty harsh. That's not the way that all my friends are doing it and telling me it should be. That's not the way my professors say that it should be. All right, keep reading, Morgan. This is the other woman talking again.
Yes. They will start having babies later in life. That is if they can still conceive naturally. Then the owner of the blog says, is college worth having fewer children? I will never understand how women prefer career over having precious babies. Again, it's just our society has made it such a big deal to have a career, and for a woman to be at the top of her game in a business is like such a huge deal. But like being a mom, that's not a big deal. Like,
I do feel like society has made being a mother first and foremost. You're taking the second best option. Mm-hmm. Work first, mother second. If you're just a mother, you really haven't lived. I do feel like there is this balance though, because like Morgan or these women, like they are so gifted in certain areas, something that they would like to work at. And there is a place for that. I'm not saying to just give all that up. I think there's this healthy shift of, I can still do this to some extent, but this can't be my whole world. Okay, so after, we didn't read the whole article, so you guys can go check it out if you want to. I feel like we hit most of it. Guys, I am technically like the poster child for this article of like the opposite of the poster child, whatever. I, had baggage with past relationships. I have tattoos. I wasn't in debt, but whatever. And so it's interesting to see you saying that there is actually some wisdom. You may not agree with all of it or how it was all said, but there's actually some wisdom in this article coming from this. I think it is important to say, like, God redeems. God can, make you white as snow. So, like, don't count yourself out. Don't think that I'm going to be undesirable to guys because I've made some mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's not true. And maybe this article could have done a better job of explaining that. Yeah. God is a God of second chances. Second chances and full victory over your past. I had
baggage, but I don't carry that anymore with me because God has totally wiped that from my past and from my life. Paul, as a Christian young man, when he met me, like, he didn't hold that stuff against me. And, you know, when you find the right guy, he's not going to hold your past against you because he's a godly man and he gets that once you're forgiven, you're forgiven.
My past is gone, I've been set free. Sin's grip.
Yeah.
We hope that you can see we're not trying to come at this from holier than thou, because we both made mistakes. We're both still learning, but we're going to speak what we believe to be true. We're going to speak what God puts on our hearts. We're not going to shy away from that.
And we are not coming at this in a judgmental way, okay, people?
That's not our intentions, at least. And guys, give us some grace. If you saw us say something and you're like, oh, I don't think that that's biblical, or I don't think that, like,
let us know.
Let us know. Give us some grace. This is a discussion. This is a conversation, and we're not perfect. We're still works in progress, too. Cool beans? Give this video a thumbs up if you appreciated us taking on this controversial topic. Comment below and let us know your thoughts. Have you read the article? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it all? Are there some points that you like and some you don't? We'd love to hear your thoughts and keep this conversation going because it's a beneficial conversation.
Yes.
You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll catch you again very soon. Have hope.
And be free. Not knowing how to.
Oh man, some of this stuff, dude. Woo! Shoo! Ooh, man alive! Oh!